Well, hello everybody and happy Sunday. How are you? My name is Scott Pinyard. I am the head coach here at This Naked Mind and I am live today like I am most Sundays, this time with sound. For those of you who saw my little trial run a few minutes ago. I apologize for that. I had the wrong microphone selected. But I am really excited today because I want to talk about something that I'm seeing coming up so often, like over and over and over. And that thing is this idea of expectation. I'm going to dive into it in just a second. But before I do that, I want to invite you to a really special event that we're going to be hosting in just a couple of weeks. So from March 28th to March 30th, every day, Annie and I are going to go live and we are going to tell you how to make instant changes to your drinking. Right? We get a lot of requests for this. So people are like, well, how do we do this? And like, what's the best way for me to shift? We want to tell you all of it. We're going to give it to you live March 28th and 30th. This is a totally free 3-day virtual event, and I want to invite you to join us there. All you have to do is go to controlalcohollive.com and sign up. The link is in the description. We do these events from time to time, and it's so much fun. Like absolutely love doing it, and I cannot wait. I always look forward to it. So that's just coming up soon. So again, at controlalcohollive.com, it's totally free. We would absolutely love to see you there. So let's talk expectations, everybody. I want to take a minute and set up why it is that I'm talking about this. Because very often people are, they're like, where do these topics come from? I had someone ask me earlier this week, where do you come up with the ideas that you're talking about? And, some days, some weeks, it's just stuff I want to try out. It's just new ideas and things that I want to, just give to you guys. Other weeks, it comes from what I see in coaching sessions and in group sessions, and that is what happened this week. So I noticed a pattern, right? Like I was coaching, I did a lot of coaching this week. And as I was having these different coaching calls, I started to see a pattern. I started to see people have the same sort of hang up, the same sort of thing that was holding them back. And it all had to do with expectations. And so anytime I see something like that, I'm always like, all right, how do I, communicate this? How can I talk about this? How can I, bring it to a group? And this is one of the best ways I have to do that. So we are going to talk expectations today. And here's what I would like to do. First, Facebook is not letting me see the comments. So I apologize for being distracted here. I'm just trying to there we go. Now I can see it. Fantastic. And awesome. Great. Now I can see your comments. Good. All right. Now I can stop being distracted. So first, I want to encourage you to enter in your questions as I'm talking. Questions about expectations, questions about anything. I'm here for you, which I am when I'm able to do these live. So I want to talk a little bit about expectation. And so in addition, I definitely saw that people were, having some trouble with expectations. And what I'm seeing is this time of the year, if you're in the States like I am, it's spring, right? We just had a winter. It was kind of a really long winter, right? Like we had so much going on with COVID, and it just seemed really heavy. And all of a sudden, the days are getting longer. The days are getting warmer. The sun's going away, and it's like, here we go. It almost feels, in a lot of ways, like we're going back out into life. And while that is absolutely fantastic, there is one thing that I see hang people up that I want to talk about. Hey there, Georgia, how's it going? 8 days alcohol-free. That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations. So one of the things that I see happen very often when say things are opening back up, this definitely happened last year before they closed down again, is we have these really big expectations for what life is going to be like, right? What experience we're going to have, what what other people are going to be like. For me, as an example, when spring happens, I'm always thinking about the summer, and I'm thinking about we live in a neighborhood. I'm thinking about the barbecues that all the different families have. I'm thinking about family get togethers. I'm really getting excited about it. I'm also really getting excited about vacations, right? The summer's coming up, and I'm going to be able to take my kids to a few places. It's going to be really awesome. Now, here's the thing, right? We're all in this position and we all have these expectations, right? I expect to have a great time on my vacation. I expect, to get along with people in my neighborhood. I, expect my kids to be a certain way. And while that can be healthy in terms of understanding like what is the sort of behavior we want to experience or not, or it can be healthy in terms of looking forward to an experience, there's a problem with expectations. And the problem with expectations is this, right? They're either met or not met. That's it. Right? So I'll just use a fake party as an example, right? So I am expecting to go to this party and I am expecting to laugh and have a really good time. Now, maybe that's going to happen, maybe that's not. The reality is this, right? If it falls even a little bit short of those expectations, maybe I laugh a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to, it's going to feel like, wait a minute, like something's not totally right. Right? Oh, that party wasn't as good as it could have been because I wasn't laughing as much as I could be. I can also compare this to what I see in the alcohol journey very often. I will regularly have conversations with people who might be, 30, 60 days alcohol free. And their question will always be something like this. It'll always be, Scott, like I really expected to feel a lot better than I do right now. Like I really expected that things were going to be amazing, that my sleep was going to be better, that I was going to feel better physically, that I was going to feel better emotionally or mentally or whatever it might be. And I don't. And so when someone asks me this question, they're asking me this question, by the way, 60 days alcohol free, not feeling very good about themselves. And, you might say, well, like, what's the problem there, right? Like they had an expectation and it wasn't met. Well, the problem there is this. Because of their expectations, they are defining themselves as not having done what they wanted to do, or maybe not being able to be alcohol free in the way they expected to be. And so because of that, they feel let down. But here's the thing. They're still 60 days alcohol free. Right? They've still done something absolutely incredible. So I think you get the point. And what I'm saying is that expectations can very often sort of ruin our subjective experience, right? They can, create this sort of artificial bar that like, if my experience doesn't get over this bar, then it's no good. Even though I'm having the experience. And by the way, this bar is completely developed by us, right? It's something that we come up with. So when it comes to expectations, this is something that I see people get let down by time and time again. Now, what does this have to do with spring? Well, what this has to do with spring and what this has to do with the coming year, and maybe you have vacations booked or maybe you're going to go alcohol free, is that you have expectations of those things. And when you have those expectations, you are setting that bar. Right? You are making this idea in your mind, which is, hey, Jenny, 9 days alcohol free. Yes, that is awesome. Congratulations. Right? But when you set this bar in your mind, what you're doing is you're saying only this is success. Anything other than this is failure. And it doesn't matter. And anything else doesn't matter. So the problem with this, right? The obvious problem when you start digging into this idea of expectation is that we don't control so much of the process. I'll go back to the person I was talking to who recently quit drinking, right? They did their part, right? They were alcohol free, but they're like, wait, I'm not sleeping well enough and I don't feel happy. And, this is going on and that is going on. And all of those things that they were telling me were bad were outside of their control. And so Kimberly, the expectations are a huge hurdle for me. All right, Kimberly, then listen up to what I have to say. I think this will be really helpful for you. It happens all the time. I do it to myself all the time. I will be going to meet up with a friend or going to maybe even do a live or whatever it might be, and I have these expectations for myself, and if I don't meet those expectations, it feels terrible, right? It doesn't feel good, even though I'm still out there, right? I'm still having coffee with that friend. I'm still here doing this live. And so what I realized a long time ago is that for a lot of these situations, expectations are actually not the best way to look at them, right? I mean, take someone who's early days alcohol free, right? For that person to say, I'm expecting myself to go to this party and not feel any urges and have a fantastic time, right? Anything less than that means that they've let themselves down. They haven't met their expectations. So what do we do about this? Right? Yeah, I think you get the problem, but like, what do we do about this? Because we're so used to setting expectations for ourselves, right? We're so used to setting expectations for, our journeys or our particular experiences. Let's see, Georgia says, I have no expectations. I take things day by day, but I am more proud of myself, which gives me a greater buzz than alcohol. Yes, I love that, Georgia. That's so good. Here's what I recommend. So instead of having these expectations for whatever it might be for you, maybe it is a vacation, maybe it is warmer weather, maybe it is quitting drinking. The best thing you can do is, instead of setting expectations that, by the way, are very much outside your control, like you don't have control over how well you sleep when you quit alcohol, right? Like that's the healing process happening in your body. Right? So instead of having expectations of things that are outside of your control and thus putting yourself in a position where you feel like, oh man, I failed, or oh man, this situation wasn't good, what I recommend doing instead is setting an intention. Setting an intention. Because an intention is going to be all about you. An intention is going to be something that is totally within your control. And when you do this, right, when you set an intention instead of having an expectation, you have the ability to meet that intention every single time. And you don't then have to feel like, oh man, I quit drinking for 2 months, but it's been a failure because I'm still not sleeping. So let me give you an example of this, right? Let's go to that same person who's going to a party alcohol free in early days. So a version of an expectation is, I am expecting to have a great time and have no urges, right? Well, geez, that's a high bar, right? So anything other than that means failure. On the other hand, they can set an intention, right? And so an intention might be something like, I plan on showing up. I want to engage as much as I can. I want to be intentionally present, and I also want to pay attention to myself. And if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I hope I don't have urges, but if I do, I'm going to take care of myself. Right? Do you see the difference in those two things? Like, it's incredible how much of a difference this idea can make in any change process, by the way. Like, we can do the same thing for losing weight, right? So losing weight, very often people say, all right, my goal is I want to lose, I'm just going to make up a number, 3 pounds per week. Right? I'm expecting that I lose 3 pounds per week, and I weigh myself on Friday. So I weigh myself on Friday, and then I follow my diet all week, right? And I'm expecting, man, when I hit that scale next Friday, I am going to be 3 pounds lighter. And I step on the scale and I am 2.5 pounds lighter. Well, that's a fail, right? That's a fail because my expectation was here and reality came in here. But if we zoom out, if we step back for a minute, we start to realize, wait a minute, no, that's a huge win. That's still 2.5 pounds lost, right? But because of the expectation, we feel let down. And when we feel let down, we're less motivated to continue with the process that we're trying to follow. So in that same example of weight loss, instead of saying, I have an expectation of losing 3 pounds a week, right? We can set an intention of saying, you know what I intend on doing? I intend on showing up and following this diet plan I have. I intend on working out a few times a week, right? I intend on listening to my body and doing things that make me feel better. And by the way, I intend to follow this diet plan because it should help me lose some weight. So imagine that, right? Same scenario, right? You get on the scale one Friday, you go into the week with an intention, not an expectation, not saying, wow, I want to lose a certain amount of weight. and you go through the week, right? You get to the next Friday, and again, you step on the scale 2.5 pounds down. Yes, that's a win, right? What I'm talking about is setting yourself up for seeing your wins as actual wins. And this happens all the time, right? I see it with myself. I see it with my friends. I see it with my kids. When we set these expectations, what we're doing is we're setting a line and we're saying anything that's above this is a win. Anything other than this is not a win. But the reality is we're so not in control. I'll give you another example, one that actually I talked about with someone this week. And this person was going to be going to a party. It was an outside party. And what she told me is she's like, I can't wait for this party. It's going to be so much fun. Like, we're going to be outside. We're going to be in the sun. Like, I'm expecting it to be like beautiful, like 90 degrees and like hot. And it's so exciting, right? Like, she's so excited about it. And then she went to the party and it rained, of course, right? And again, totally outside of her control. There was nothing there that she could have done differently to make sure that it didn't rain. But guess what? She talked to me after the party and she was really bummed out about it. She was like, yeah, it sucked, man. Like, it was raining the whole time and it was kind of cold and I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. And, I wasn't able to be out there in the sun. And so I was like, And so I asked some more questions. I said like, oh, well, did you get to talk to friends? She's like, yeah, I got to talk to friends. I got to see some family members I hadn't seen in a while. And then I asked, like, did you have good food? Part of what she was excited about was the sort of potluck nature of the whole thing. And she said, yes, man, like so-and-so made this dip and so-and-so made this. And it all sounded amazing, right? And so you can see what's happening here. Because she set the expectation here, even though there were good things happening, things that she enjoyed, things that she could tell me afterwards were amazing, because it didn't cross this expectation line, everything felt bad, right? It felt like it was a loss. And so this, friends, is why I talk about the idea of intention versus expectation. Because if you show up with an intention completely inside of your control, you can win no matter what. Right? And to bring it back to the alcohol conversation again, right? If you say, my intention is to change my relationship with alcohol, as opposed to my expectation is I quit drinking forever and never think about it again, right? Try those two things on, right? Which one feels better? Of course, the intention feels better. So what I'm trying to get at is this, right? Expectations can be great, but they also have a flip side that sometimes is kind of negative. And so my suggestion is to get rid of those expectations and instead set an intention. Set an intention for how you want to feel. Set an intention for how you want to show up. Set an intention about how you want to listen to yourself and take care of yourself. When you do those things, you are in such a better place to have such a better experience no matter what's going on, right? This client I was telling you about that was telling me about the, expectation of the beautiful sunny picnic and then it rained. Well, I mean, if she had gone into that with an expectation of connecting, with an expectation of being happy, with an expectation of, with it being perfectly, perfectly sunny outside, with an expectation of everyone being nice, she's probably going to be let down. Instead, she could have gone in with an intention of connecting, an intention of spending some time with people, an intention of getting together, right? Being part of that community, right? All of a sudden, it doesn't matter whether it rains or is it sunny, right? And I mean, if it's sunny, nice, that's great. Right. So I think you get the idea. I've kind of said it a few times here. So I hope that makes sense. Give me your questions about expectations. I'd love to answer them. I got a few more minutes. Wrap it up. Let's see. Kimberly says, I want to start getting up earlier and journaling. And I think intentions are a good part of the journaling process. But maybe my intention should be to get up earlier at first, then letting the journaling happen afterward. That's a great point, Kimberly. So one of the things that I really love, and it's still part of my morning routine when I get up for the day, is I pick one intention, right? For me, and this is a sentence that worked for me. Maybe it doesn't work for you. You can have your own. But I try to set one intention. So I say, how do I want to show up today? That's the question I ask myself. So sometimes the way I want to show up is, laser focused. And other days, the way I want to show up is happy and relaxed. And I've used a lot of different phrases. But setting intentions in the morning journaling is incredibly powerful. Even more powerful than that is at the end of the day, checking in and saying, how'd I do? Right? How'd that go? Because that's where you get to learn about yourself and you get to learn where those snags are. So I love that, Kimberly. That's really, really awesome. All right, everybody. Well, I don't see any other comments. So, oh, no, I do. Robin. Hey, Robin. 2 days, 0 expectations. Yes. Yes. Right? When you can go into this and just experience what's around you, man, it makes such a big difference. That is it for me today, everybody. So thank you for hanging out with me for the last 20 minutes or so. And if you are interested, I highly recommend come and hang out with Annie and I for a couple of days, March 28th and 30th. We are doing a totally free virtual event. We are going to talk about how, like the real how of making instant changes to your drinking. We're going to give you sort of a step-by-step thing. For 3 days, it's going to be about 2 hours a day, roughly. We'll be live, and we'll be talking all about this. So you can find out more about it at ControlAlcoholLive.com. That's ControlAlcoholLive.com. I would love to see you there. Man, thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good one.